Hi luminaries, this is our latest video on how to make a pom-pom using any of your loom tool. Remember that any one loom tool can actually make different types of pom-poms. So this is a loose trim, a dense orb trim, different sizes, different patterns, different shapes. Look at this strawberry, so cute, and then this kitten, too cute. Okay, so let's get started. What you need are any of your loom tool, your wooden ones or your paper, any of the pom-pom trim guide, wooden or paper, your loom strong string, floss, or any other type of thin strong string, yarn. In this case, I'm going to use worsted weight 100% wool yarn. I feel like worsted weight usually gives you a really classic looking or pom-pom, and sharp scissors, and then optional is a needle. And then of course you want some sort of tray or dish to catch your pom-pom trimming as you trim. Okay, let's get started. One thing actually before we get started, if you want a paper reference, our pom-pom basics and pattern is fantastic. And then our loom party book also is fantastic, and that has all the 5 crafts. Okay, so what we'll do is I'm going to bring in my bowl. This bowl is actually really helpful when you are winding yarn as well as when you trim. And then I'm going to set our pom-pom trim guide aside. And then I'm going to demonstrate on the robot tool, and then I'll go over real quickly how you would use this on the other tool. Okay, so what I like to do when I wind yarn, I actually like to take an end from the inside of the ball as well as from the outside. This just helps the winding process goes a lot faster, but if you want to just use one strand, that's fine too. So secure your ends to any of the notches, and then you're going to start winding. So before I start doing that, let me show you. So on the XL, you would just secure it here and wind. On the big A, you would secure and then wind across these 2 arms. And then on the paper tool, you're also going to secure here and then wind this way. Okay, I'll set those aside now. One tip that when you wind, you don't want to wind too tight or too loose, and definitely not too tight, just because it's going to be really hard for you to remove the yarn. And when I wind, I always find it helpful to put my fingers right here, and it actually stops the yarn and kind of keeps the yarn across the 2 arms. I'm going to go about 80 revolution or 160 revolution with this weight yarn. And then that will give me about a 2-inch pom-pom if I remember correctly. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to fast forward this part, and then we'll meet back when I finish winding. Okay, so when you finish, you could just secure it to any of the notches, doesn't matter which one, and then cut your yarn off the yarn bundle. And now what you're going to do is you're going to cut 18 to 24 inches of your floss and strong string, or that is 2/3 of a meter, or real quickly you just go from your fingertip to the middle of your bicep, and that would be plenty sufficient. Okay, now what you're going to do is you're going to take this and insert it under your yarn bundle. Okay, I want to actually demonstrate real quickly also, if you have a lot of yarn on your tool because you're making a really big pom-pom, what's helpful is to just thread a needle with your floss and then just insert it here. Okay, it's super, super easy to do. Okay, I'm going to go over this part really slowly because this tends to be the most difficult part, is making a tight tie around your pom-pom. This is a trick that I have. So you have your string here like this. In the back it would look like this. Okay, and you're going to make one tie, not a knot, just a tie. And you're going to make a tie like this. Make sure it lands in the middle, and you're going to take this end, which is the end closer to the bottom of your yarn bundle, and take it to the other side. Pull it through, and now it would look like this. This is an opportunity also, if this is not straight in the middle, just use your finger to adjust it. And now we're going to make the first kind of tightening of the yarn bundle, and you're going to make a surgeon's knot, which is cross over 1, 2. Okay, that's actually also called just a double overhand knot. Let me do that again. Cross, and then you go 1, 2, and then you're just going to pull it so it's snug. You don't have to do it so that it's tight. Make sure that it's snug. The nice thing about the surgeon's knot, it just kind of holds everything together. Pull the yarn bundle off the tool, and now you can set this completely aside. Now this is the trickiest part, is that you want to work close to this surgeon's knot, making what I call micro tightening or micro pull. Don't work from the outside right here. Work close. Okay. Just might do, if you just make tiny little pull like this, it's really going to tighten. And now you might need somebody to put their finger on top of this, or you could do it yourself. So my trick is that I go like this, and then I close out the knot, and I do that really quickly. Okay, and then I close it out with another knot, and then I completely cut that off. Let me just put it here. And you could always feel when it's really tight, it's going to feel really compressed. Now, if that didn't get tightened, all you have to do is just redo it and then cut the old looser knot off. Okay? All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cut the pom-pom open like this. Make sure you get all the loops. So first what I like to do is just go 1, and then I just begin to catch all the loops. And don't worry if you don't get all the loops, because it'll show up later as you trim your pom-pom down. Okay, so the first step of trimming a pom-pom, I'm first going to do a loose trim, and then I'll do an orb trim, which is the tight trim. So let me show you the difference. The first one we're going to do is this kind of loose. This is great for hats, etc., garlands. And then I'm going to do this kind of tight, dense trimming. Okay? You could take any of your pom-pom trim guide. The nice thing about the paper one is that there's different sizes for those who, you know, it's harder for you to kind of eyeball it, or just have a single one to guide the shape or guide the size. This one, this looks good. Okay, so I'm going to demo with this one. So what you're going to do is you're going to cut edge to edge. Okay. You're going to hold the pom-pom trim guide pretty much just in the middle. You'll naturally see that right away. And okay. And make sure it goes all the way to the bottom right here. Okay. Get all the stragglers. Okay, this is a 3-dimensional shape, so you will always have to just turn your pom-pom one wrist turn again like this. Okay, and then now you're going to fluff that up again and put your pom-pom trim guide on, and see how there's stragglers that needs trimming. Okay. So this is what I call a loose trim. This is great. The pom-pom trim guide is an absolute must. Whoops, that pom-pom almost ran away from me. Okay, it's an absolute must. It's just so easy. So see, you pretty much now have a round pom-pom. Sometimes you just need to take a tiny bit off here and there. And this is great. The pom-pom trim guide is also excellent for kids. Now I'm gonna take this away, because making an orb pom-pom is slightly trickier, but there is a trick. So what you'll do, I recommend at this point, is to stand up, look down onto your pom-pom, and you're gonna just cut a ton off. And basically you're gonna cut and trim, and see how that's pretty dense? I'm actually gonna go even more dense. I could see that I could. And the pom-pom is going to naturally resist, actually, with your scissors. And it's going to tell you how much you could trim down. Okay, so see how that's really dense? Now, standing up and looking down, what you're going to do is you're going to trim just one perimeter all the way around. Okay, I'm not going to fast forward this part because I think this is super, super essential. You're going to trim all the way around. I know that the natural inclination sometimes is to turn your pom-pom all over like this as you trim, but that's what kind of throws everybody off, including me. I came up with this method just through making so many pom-poms and kind of just observing what's kind of the best way to get to this orb shape. Okay, so now I've gone one perimeter around, and see, it needs some cleaning up still because it's not super kind of consistent. You're going to end up going around that same perimeter 2 or 3 more times. And now I'm taking very little off. See how little I'm taking off? Okay. Again, looking down on the pom-pom is really, really helpful. It just allows you to stay focused on just one perimeter. Okay. So now what you'll have is a pretty cleaned up pom-pom on one perimeter, and you're going to have these 2 shaggy ends. You're going to take that same technique that we did, and you're going to begin to curve down on this side. Again, staying with the same perimeter. In this case, I'm just doing half, just focusing on this side rather than going all the way around. Okay. And now I'm going to trim this part. So this can take a while, I won't lie, and it does take practice. So be patient. It's a good kind of meditative study almost. Okay. So now I have something resembling a kind of an orb pom-pom. It still needs a little bit of, you know, kind of trimming to get it really consistent. So think of it like a haircut. When you go get a haircut, at first the stylist is taking a ton of hair off, and then towards the end he or she is literally just, you know, really easily taking tiny bit off to just get everything in shape and into place. Okay, I'm going to do the same technique, which is go around one perimeter and then again one perimeter, and I'm going to focus on that. And this, again, will take probably about, I don't know, maybe about 3 to 5 minutes or up to even 10 minutes. It's sometimes up to the yarn, then up to how experienced you are. Okay. Again, I won't fast forward because this part I've learned from so many people. This is really, really helpful for them to see, and also to know that it does take quite a bit. Okay, now I'm going to trim this side. And it's always good when you regroup on trimming is to take a moment to just gently fuzz up your pom-pom. The fibers always kind of come out from hiding under another area of yarn. In this way you could just completely smooth it out. Another tip I actually like to share with you, when you have a pom-pom, like an orb pom-pom like this, and you might wear it on a necklace, etc., over time it might get a little bit fuzzy, and this is how you would just bring it back to life, is to take a tiny bit off. You're almost like shaving it in a lot of ways. See how little I'm taking off now? Okay. Okay. Now I'm just gonna again trim. the more patient and just kind of working at your own pace, the easier it will be. And like I said, I just totally view this as a meditative practice in a lot of ways. Okay, it's getting there, see? Eventually, a dense or pom-pom will emerge with patience. Okay. I'll probably clean this up a little bit more, but I think we're close to that. So I won't make you stick around and kind of, you know, get this down to a perfect orb with me. But see how this is now pretty much an orb pom-pom. So that's it with the Loome tool. It's such a great tool, and like I mentioned before, there are so many different types of pom-poms that you can make with just one tool, and by experimenting, you know, you could just do different shapes, different colors, different pattern. It's so wonderful. And thank you so much, everyone, and I hope this was really, really helpful for you.